You're listening to iFanboy Pick of the Week, episode 973. My name is Connor Kilpatrick, and that guy over there is my co-host, Josh Flanagan.
Just wiping my face after we started. Just whatever. It's not. I don't know. I don't know how this works.
You're not camera tuned.
You know,
You've been on camera enough.
It's true, but not in a professional situation. It was like we were pretending to be professionals. So I'm not wearing anything from here down, which I believe is the professional way to go.
That's how I do it. Welcome to iFanboy 2025. It's our 25th year. No, it's our 20th year of doing this show. Our 25th year of doing iFanboy.
Go to hell.
Some of those years involve pants, and some don't. A lot of them involve shorts. But for all you know, there's no pants whatsoever. And that means every week for 25 years, one of us has picked a book they like the best from their stack of comics. We call that book the Pick of the Week. We're going to talk about that book, other books of the week, the Patron Pick, listener mail. It'll be a fun time. And here's your spoiler warning. Exercise some caution. This week, Josh, you had the pick.
I did. Who was the Spinal Tap drummer who said have a good time all the time? Do you remember that drummer's name?
No.
I believe, and Ron will know this, but I believe it's Viv Savage, who was the current drummer. A lot of people are going to want to say Eric Stubby K, who was Ed Begley Jr. and he exploded. I don't know why. Whenever I saw Spinal Tap for the first time and they said Eric Stubby K, I thought that was the funniest thing I'd ever heard. And I don't know why, but it still is. So the pick of the week, right? That's why we're here.
Yeah, that's why we're here.
Listen, I'm as surprised as you are that I went with Moonshine Bigfoot #1 of 4.
I'm not surprised.
Mike Marlowe and Zach Howard wrote it. Zach Howard also on inks. Steve Ellis on art. Nelson Daniel on colors. Thompson Knox.
You know what's interesting? I thought about this.
We should get him a grant.
I thought about this while we were putting the script stuff together. I've never heard of any of these people, and you would not.
I've heard.
You wouldn't. You
feel
would
like
not
I've heard
know
of
that
Steve Ellis.
This. Maybe, but you would not know that. This is a very professionally made book, and these are all names I've never heard of before. At least I haven't.
Yeah. So this was one of those ones where you go, oh, it's a new #1. Let me look at it. And I read it and I went, well, this could go all sorts of ways. I mean, it's whatever the high concept. I don't even know if I read it, but it says Moonshine Bigfoot. A more appropriate title never there was.
It tells you what it is. This is no Matthew Rosenberg nonsense. This is exactly what you want.
Who's the hairiest illegal distiller from here? All right, so it's about a Bigfoot, and he lives in Hazard County.
Yes. Well,
and
yes.
Most of this issue is a car chase.
Great cars.
Where Bigfoot and they're driving 70s. I think is it the book takes place in the late 70s, early 80s.
Who knows?
Right, but they're the Dukes of Hazzard cop cars. They're the the Blues Brothers. Actually, a little after that, the squared off Chevy Celebrity. Anyway, for whatever reason, some big feet had a kid, and they put him on a truck.
Sorry, this is summer 1981.
There you go.
That's about right. Buzzard County, Georgia. This is a pastiche of a lot of things we'll talk about as soon as you do the plot recap.
So, all right. So, within the first page, a couple of Bigfoots had fallen in love, and they put their baby Bigfoot on the back of a logging truck up in the Pacific Northwest. It finds its way to Florida. That's it. That's the whole thing. Next, we cut to Bigfoot, who has a Clash sleeveless shirt on and a what is it? A Snap. Is it a Mac? It's a Mac Tools racing trucker hat, but it's specific. It's a Mac tool. Like it's not. Yeah. That's not. And he's got his girlfriend with the long legs and the cutoff shorts, and she's kind of a hippie. And he's driving his. Was it a Mustang Mach something or other?
He says it.
If you're a car person, you would know what the car is. I know that much. I don't remember. He's on the run from the cops. It is a Dukes of Hazzard style car chase through the backwoods. This Bigfoot is a moonshiner. There's also a team of what are they called? Cryptid hunters, Jover, Jessup, and Boover. And well, he's just Boover. They're chasing him. There's also let's see. There's a Clutch. There's what's his Crank
Torkelson.
Which I was like, Kyle Starks. Crank Torkelson, a little close to the greatest name ever in comics.
Amethyst, the girlfriend, so he's
Yeah.
chasing them. He's chasing them too.
Fuck Tarkington, just to bring it back. This very well could have been. It's like a Kyle Starks book in
Yeah.
a way. Anyway, it's a whole car chase, and we kind of learn a little bit about everybody as it happens. And they've got this. It's a lot like the Dukes of Hazzard. It's not. There's a lot of very specific things here. It's a love letter to that kind of thing. But
Well,
there's
it's
another.
I mean, so it's mostly Dukes of Hazzard because
Mhm.
there's a whole like narrator that Waylon Jennings was for Dukes of Hazzard, but I mean, the opening is Superman, right? Like they
Yeah.
send
Yeah.
their
Yeah.
baby off on a ship that lands somewhere else. The main sheriff is named is it Buford Justice,
I could have told
which
you
is the
his
sheriff.
name was Buford.
No,
If
Buford Justice was the name of the sheriff in Cannonball Run, but this is like
Huh.
Justice P. Eustace. No, Justice P. Worrell. So there's like
Ernest P. Worrell.
a little bit of Cannonball Run, a lot of Dukes of Hazzard, a little bit of Superman, a lot of things happening. Almost too many things happening.
However,
But
yes,
it rides the line like you would racing a car. It rides.
Well,
the
I
line.
mean, I think that's the thing is that this is like everything in the kitchen sink thrown at it, moving at once from go. There's no, I mean, there's like a little tiny page so that people are like, well, where'd this guy come from? And then everything after that, that page turn after page one is full on action and moving. And when they're not moving, there's still 1,000 things to look at. The Steve Ellis art accomplishes exactly what it's trying to accomplish. I think in terms of tone, in terms of motion, I think the action is you were alluding to this earlier. The action is portrayed extraordinarily well. It's really good comic book storytelling, great character designs, great there's they go into a bar, was it the Whiskey Goat? And in there is like they're mixing cryptids with sort of pop culture. So Big Bird's in there and Clint Eastwood and what's the orangutan's name?
I don't remember the name.
From
I remember Every Which Way But Loose.
Every Which Way But Loose. Clyde.
Is that Farrah Fawcett?
It looks like it.
And
Looks
then
like Farrah Fawcett.
There's
Hervé Villachez
Hervé
there.
Villachez is in there.
Yeah.
There's a lot happening. By the way, Big Bird's head is mounted on the wall.
Oh, yes, it is. I thought he was just baked out of his mind.
No, he's dead.
And as I read it, I was like, huh. It's even like if you
there's
like
UFOs, there's Cobra Commander,
Chupacabra. Yeah, that was Cobra Commander. Like, see all those word balloons?
A lot.
I didn't notice it though. And that's the thing. You can get away with anything as long as it's engaging. And it's a dodgy, you said riding the line, but it's a dodgy thing to lean this far into a sort of nostalgic pop culture. And there's a way to most people do it and it doesn't work. It's just like, you're leaning on that rather than telling me a story or telling me about something original. It's just like, remember this, and that satisfies a lot of people. I don't like it. In this, I don't know why it doesn't feel like that, but I guess there's just a lot of love and joy in it, and it kept it moving. And and then further, like this will be a theme that always you'll hear from me when I pick a book. Is like I just didn't expect whatever this was.
Oh sure.
And if I was looking
good.
If I was looking at sort of my list of books when I was trying to pick something out, a lot of good books, a lot of books I wanted to talk about. And then I went, oh, that was my favorite thing I read just because it was so far afield of A, what else I was reading, and B, what I was expecting. Just a fun 70s car chase, cryptid, nonstop movement and action.
We didn't know. I mean, I didn't know it was coming out. When we get our press kit from Image, we look in the list and see what's there. And I always look at the number ones just to see what they are. If there's someone I know who's worked on them or what their concept is. And I opened this one up and I saw Moonshine Bigfoot. I thought, well, that's interesting. And then I flipped through it digitally and saw the art, and I was like, holy shit! Yeah. And so I downloaded it, and that was like, that's how it got. It's like no different than what you would do at a comic store where you see it on the shelf and you flip through it and you go, wow, it's the same concept. And it's just a really professionally done book. And it's weird to say that, but a lot of comics aren't, and this, especially for people you've never heard of. This is really, really well done. I mean, could I have done without the UFOs? Sure. Could I have done without the Cobra Commander, like sci-fi elements? Absolutely. Could it have just been for me just a Dukes of Hazzard Cannonball Run, tribute with a Bigfoot at the helm. All great, but it was still really good. I still liked it quite a bit, even with all the elements that I didn't necessarily need, but they're not bad. It's
I
all in
think
there. It's a lot going on.
I think that it has to be Evil Knievel's in there too. It has to be all or nothing. Like you can't like if it was just a couple of these elements, you're like that's kind of lame. But they're like, no, we're throwing literally everything we can think of in
Yeah.
this, and that's the part where I kind of respected it. Like that's what kind of worked for me. In fact, I think there are references in here I don't
Oh,
understand.
absolutely.
Certainly in the bar. At the same time, there's a cop and then a deputy, and the deputy's sort of acting weird, and then you find out like he's on Bigfoot's side, and it's just
There's the one competent deputy because
yep.
who's actually good at his job, and he's black in Georgia in 1981. So of course he's relegated to the desk back
Mhm.
at this station, and he's actually really good at being a cop. But anyway, it's real the character stuff. I mean, you're right. The amount of stuff they get across here is this is an oversized book, right?
I
I
believe
can't
so.
tell.
Yeah,
Like I think it's double sized. I can't tell.
it's got to be because and the PDF, it's 20 something pages, but most of them are
Yeah,
double page spreads on one.
it's just a lot. I
So
mean,
it's
you're right. Look at this. This is the page you showed me again, but like the sheer number of word balloons here. If I counted the actual, I mean, there's probably 45 word balloons between these two
yeah,
pages, and
you're
it's
looking at the
insane.
500 words on that page. Uh,
But
you know
you're
what's
right. I
funny?
never felt it because it's a fun read, and that's all that matters.
You know what? I didn't recognize that when he puts on his suit at the end, and it was so fast and from out of nowhere. I was like, "What the?" It's Cobra Commander. And
Yeah.
then just now, like looking back through it, like his disguise is Cobra Commander's disguise with
Oh,
the
with the
trench
must.
coat and the mustache. It did not occur to me until just now. I was like, "Oh." And I think one of the parts I really fell in love with is that it's like there's structure here, but it's easy to miss. And at one point, he said, the deputy tells the sheriff like, "Hey, don't get caught up at whatever pass or whatever it is." And they kind of throw that out there, and then you watch them drive through all these different things. Is this is that it? And then you get to this bridge that got blown up, and the one end is curled around, and it's a great drawing, and this sort of action of how they resolve it. Like it is as realistic as it needs to be grounded and no more.
Yeah, I don't need it to be
And
realistic at all.
yeah, and you
Dukes
just
of Hazzard
buy it.
wasn't realistic.
No, it was it's just this weird little elements of sort of everything. And it was just, I mean, this is the end of the day, heck of a lot of fun.
Totally.
Really fun comic book. Like I was like,
It
oh, we don't do comics like this very often.
it was a fun week, I think. I think that was a good
Yes.
descriptor for the week. I really enjoyed my books this week, and one I really enjoyed reading also was Godzilla versus Hulk. This is staying in the same sort of vein in time wise as Moonshine Bigfoot, in that the first Godzilla versus Fantastic Four took place in the 60s. This takes place in the late 70s. We're moving through eras of Marvel with these
Mhm.
Godzilla versus books. This is written by Jared Duggan, art by Giuseppe Camicoli.
Ooh,
And this is my
that's a
favorite.
team.
It's a great team. This is my favorite version of Hulk. This is the Hulk I read as a kid. This is the uh, ripped purple pants, talks angry, broken English, doesn't speak in
He,
full sentences.
he almost talked just a
A little
just
too much.
a little too much, but also that's the thing about the Hulk. No
Too many
one at
words.
this point can say that's not Hulk because it
'Cause,
is. Like
at,
whatever Hulk is what he is. You can do that.
in my head, he's drawn by one of the Bushimas. He's got those curl
Mhm.
ringlets on the forehead. This is
Yep.
that era, that 80s era of Hulk, which is my favorite to this date. And so what you have to get in your head is that every issue is its own continuity and its own thing, just taking place
Which
in
is
that era. So in this era, like everyone's dead. They've been killed.
which is
All the
correct.
heroes have been killed by the
Yeah.
kaiju, and the very Texan Thunderbolt Ross is in charge of this one, and his program to kill Godzilla. What he doesn't know is he thinks the Hulk's dead, but Bruce Banner's on his team. He doesn't know that Banner and Hulk are the same person, and mayhem ensues when they try to trap him with Mothra's tortured body. There was a couple of things here that I tripped up on. There was one point where they called Godzilla the Jade Giant, but he's clearly just gray. He turns green at the end. But at the time they called him the Jade Giant, he was not Jade yet. And there was another thing like that where there was some mistake in in the script. But other than that, I had a hell of a lot of fun reading this book.
I think that I like that we talked about this with the last one, is that like the commitment here is to draw Godzilla like a man in a suit.
Yeah,
Like the
yeah.
Godzilla in this they didn't try to make him look like a monster. He looks like the man in the rubber suit. And there's a couple of shots that really emphasize that. And I like that as a choice. I think that that is a correct choice. Yeah,
Well,
and
certainly at the
it's
end
like
he
the
looks
same.
more monster-like.
Yeah.
In the
Well,
beginning, he looks
when
more like a man in a suit.
this
When he
has
goes,
this has one of the best reveals that I've read in a comic book in a while, and it is, for some reason I didn't see it coming, but it is the reveal of the Gamma Godzilla, Hulk
yeah,
Godzilla.
that's when he turns green that time. Yeah,
Maybe that was like a thing where he's like greenish, and obviously like he came from a black and white movie, so he sort of leaned towards that. But they wanted to like pop the green when he became the Hulk, so maybe it was.
Oh, I
This
know
is
the other mistake. This is the first time we see Godzilla, and he's coming in on that big splash page, and
Mhm.
behind him is like the ocean, and it says Godzilla is summoned to San Antonio, Texas. Now, I've spent
Mm.
many a day in San Antonio, where my family is from. San Antonio's landlocked in the middle
So
of the
that's a
state.
Galveston right there.
That's more of a Galveston or Corpus
Right.
Christi. That is not San
Mhm.
Antonio. And you cannot tell me that's the lake. That's the river. It's not the river. The river is not that wide. So that's the only other thing. I was like, that's not San Antonio, but it doesn't matter. Who cares?
One time I was thinking about the Spurs, and I thought, well, how is that area supporting a team, is what I thought. And then I looked up San Antonio, which was the thing turns
It's
out
like
I knew
the eighth
nothing
largest
about.
city. Yeah.
It's a big city and there's a lot of people. I was like,
Yeah.
well, okay, that's me told. I guess I am one of those East Coast assholes.
I just love the Hulk in this. Kevin Coley draws him so weird. There's the shot on
Yeah,
page 18 where he's jumping at the camera, and he's just got this
yeah.
weird sort of face, and it makes sense for this weird version of Hulk. It is probably 20% too many
He
words,
looks
but it doesn't matter.
he looks like he's straining on the toilet on that page. This was drawn by Kevin Coley, and I think he normally inks himself, but this is Danielle Orlandini, and you can tell
Orlandini.
the difference between this and sort of the regular Kevin Coley. Kevin Coley uses really thick, heavy lines, and
Right.
it sort
Yeah.
of makes things really angular. And this is a lot lighter, which I actually think lends itself to the era. Like like they didn't slather those comics with black ink back then, so
Right.
it kind of works, makes it interesting.
It would have been fun if they had done the whole thing like the 70s, like the flat colors and everything, but I get it.
Yeah, I
They're trying
like.
to sell to modern audiences. I understand. They're not trying to sell to me. I
And
understand.
even so, like you get your best guys, and like
Yeah, yeah.
Kevin Coley doesn't look like any of those guys, but I'd
Oh, you
rather
could
have
color
that.
Kevin Coley flat. You can do them with color. It
Oh
doesn't matter.
yeah, no, I know, but like it's still gonna look. There was nobody like him in American
These
comics in the 70s.
these Godzilla books have been incredibly fun. Next issue is Godzilla vs. Spider-Man in the 80s with the black suit, which was, a great era of
Who is it?
Spider-Man.
Like the ads don't say
I
who
don't know.
does them,
I don't know. I'm just,
because I'm telling
looking
you, there
forward
are
to it.
names on that gonna make me not want to read it. Like it's
Well,
like
we don't know. There's no
Bag
names on
Wiggins.
here.
Who is the draw? Who do you think the artist is on that on that
It
preview?
doesn't.
I
It
can
looks
I recognize something. Wait a minute. Okay, if we zoom in, NB24 or ND.
Bradshaw,
NB or ND.
Nick Bradshaw.
It is. It's Nick Bradshaw. That's
Yeah.
exactly. There we go. We did it.
So
If
there
he
you go.
drew
Nick
the
Bradshaw.
inside, because that's a Kamikoli cover, I think.
Yeah,
on
I think
this
I think that's how it's working.
Well, I'm in.
So Josh
Sold.
is in, and we're gonna take a quick break. We'll be back with more comics right after this. All right, let's talk about another fun book we read this week, which was called. Oh, did I not put it
Summer.
in?
The Summer of
I didn't.
Superman
I
special.
didn't make a graphic for this one, so we're not gonna have it on screen. I forgot
Okay.
about that. We were rushed. Summer of Superman special, which Josh originally was like, "Should I read this?" And I was like, "I don't know. I haven't read it."
Because I thought it was gonna be one of those 80-page like anthologies that
Right.
usually aren't all that special. There's
Right.
3 good stories and 50 other pages. But I looked and it's Mark Waid. I made sure to check it out. Mark Waid, Dan Slott, Josh Williamson doing one part each of a story with and the real story here is Jorge Jimenez on art through the entire thing.
Beautiful.
Which is, yeah, that was really like right away. I kind of, I kind of like saw it. I glanced over. I saw the artist names, and I'm a few pages into it. I was like, "Who's this?" And I was like, "Oh, right, this is gorgeous."
This is an oversized 48-page one shot that is basic. I like how there's, at least in our digital copy, it's the cover, and then there's the ad for the book with the same cover. But this is literally the ad for the book that I'm reading. I really liked my chair. My arm just fell off my chair. I like the I like the opening.
If anything, there'll be a moment that you fall off to your left at some point.
Just fell off my chair. I'm gonna lean. I'm just gonna go.
No, I don't want it to happen, but my God, I do.
So the first story
I want to see a foot.
It's a Superboy story, and I really liked it, but there was something I really didn't like about it. But I was able to put that aside and really enjoyed the sort of flashback to Superboy and Lana Lang. And so the whole thing is there's this villain. What is his name?
Validus.
Validus keeps popping up at inopportune moments in Clark's life that usually involve Lana Lang for some reason. And so when he's about to reveal that he's A, Superman or Superboy and be in love with her, this guy shows up and he's got to fake a stomach illness, which is like the worst possible thing you could fake with the girl you like when you're 16.
Kind of,
and
yeah.
And go save the day. And I know, but it's just like that's like the worst excuse. So
no, I know, but it was like that. Oh God, that's uncomfortable.
But just terrific, Jorge Jimenez. I mean, that Superboy is amazing.
I like that it's a Superboy, of course.
And also, by the way, we're now officially changing the Dalmatian Super Crypto to the dog from the movie, so that's fun.
He wasn't a Dalmatian.
Yeah, he's a little Dalmatian.
I thought he was like just a white.
So,
not enough spots.
So no, not like that. He's not a giant full size. He's like a little tiny Dalmatian dog. Well, he's a Kryptonian dog. I don't know. They don't have the same breeds we do, but that's how he was drawn to me. What I didn't like was he fights this guy through a time thing, and then he sees moments from his life, a rip in time, and he sees moments from his life in the future. But the Legion has set it in his brain so he won't remember them. But he sees himself with Lois and his kid, and he realizes that he's never going to end up with Lana Lang like he thinks he's going to. So when he gets back, he doesn't remember, but he has a feeling that he's not going to end up with her. So he doesn't tell her he loves her. And to me, it's such a simplistic look at love. Like, you can love many people in your life. The person you love at 16 can be different than the person you love when you're older, and that's okay. It's okay for him to have a 16-year-old love. And that's actually kind of better. It's better he has some loves in his life before he gets to Lois. But I just thought it was just a very simplistic way of looking at, like, you can have several loves in your life, and that's okay. And I think that to remove Lana from his life like that, just because then he can't love Lois, like, it's just dumb. But other than that, I know,
but it also gives us the idea that, like, he just has this great friend and it's a platonic thing.
It's also like that's like the thing in comics now, is to remove all sex and relationship stuff. So no, they're just buddies. Like, no, he was in love with her. It's just a childhood love of his life, and he was 16, and it's a dumb thing to do that. But whatever. I liked everything else around it, and I like this. The second part is Steel and Lana's marriage or wedding, and so that was fun. That was it the Dan Slott story?
Dan Slott did the second one.
Yeah, the first one was Mark Waid, the Superboy story.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think the wedding is Josh.
I don't know. It's hard to say. They don't really give us the breaks here. No, chapter 2 was Dan Slott. That's the wedding.
Chapter 2, and then Joshua Williamson is 3.
His is after that.
Yeah.
What was funny about that wedding is that worst wedding possible to crash, because everyone there is superpowers. Everyone, Superman, Lois, Lana, Steel's niece, everyone in the wedding party is a Superman. So,
and she says every time a thing happens, and you're just like, well, yeah, you shouldn't have said that. Every time.
And there was a very heavy-handed, and we have to be fair, a very heavy-handed climate change thing at the end.
Yes, there was.
We were talking about that in previous episodes about it's great to put messages in, but do it a little more subtly than that. And this was very, like, smash you over the head with it.
Oh, what's weird is that doesn't really. exist in this world, and I don't know that it should. There's things that can stand for it,
Right.
but to all of a sudden, and it's weird because it wasn't. You're right. It was like in Act 3, all of a sudden, like this is about climate change. I was like, it is.
Well, because
I
some
thought it
tornadoes
was
hit
about.
during the fight. Yeah, it was.
Yeah, but I thought that's. I don't. I think that was a weird misstep.
It was
Absolutely,
a bad choice
that's.
because in this world they could possibly solve it. They've got all these
Mhm.
fictional super geniuses, whereas in our world they can't. So all it does is make us frustrated. That's that's why
Mhm.
that's why it's hard to ride the line between when super people can face real life problems because they can fix it and we can't, and that's frustrating. But this was good, regardless of my minor nitpicks. This was good all the way through. I liked it a lot.
Did you notice that they went back to their apartment in the high rise in Metropolis, and there's still a lot of people living in that apartment who I hoped we'd forgotten about, including those like are they Kryptonian kids from the War World thing?
I
Like,
thought we'd done with it. Didn't they leave? I thought they left.
I bet Mark Waid's just got something. Is like, well, if we introduce these new characters, and then we have to respect them because of the worst thing that he ever did.
I think
with
this
the
is
Flash
Josh
kids.
Williamson's part. Mark Wade's
I
is
know.
the Superboy part, but yeah, it's just
You know what I mean?
I didn't even recognize that, but yes, that was a
I think
mistake.
it's Keenan's still there, although he looks younger, and they're really. I don't know. I don't need it. It was good but weird.
Then a
I
good
also think
epilogue.
like
Then a good epilogue with
well, I
Jamie
mean, the
Warner.
other thing is that this is now leading into I guess, which is apparently a giant Superman event that's going to be happening all.
Well,
Like I was like, oh, there's 19 Superman books now.
they're pushing all
I
their
guess
chips into Superman this year because of the movie.
I can't complain about that. Superman's been fun lately, so whatever. Do that. I will tell you that the what's his name, Validus.
Yeah.
I don't understand. I don't understand. Maybe that'll be something that gets resolved later. But
Hmm.
I don't under. They were like, he's like a toddler with a super strength, and I was like, well, and he's just falling through time, and he's upset. Like that wasn't like they didn't close that off at all.
Right.
I don't know what happened. I don't know why I watched it. I don't read it. And like, is that a villain that you know?
No.
It's just like this weird mishmash of a
Yeah, it's
like
almost
super
like
villain clawed
a
feet
Doomsday.
and like yeah, just
So
weird.
I do want to mention because at the end they show all the books coming out, and there's some very exciting things here and some very funny things. So
Mhm.
Mark Wade's taking over action full time with Skylar Partridge. Josh Williamson and Dan Moore are still doing Superman, and then Dan Slott's doing Superman Unlimited with Raphael Albuquerque. So those are the three main books. Then we got a new Supergirl book. Great news, the jacket's gone. All of the jackets are gone from all the characters. That's great.
It's just like new costume. I was like, looks like the old one, but whatever.
She had the jacket forever, remember?
Mhm.
All right, so then we got a crypto book by Ryan North and Mike Norton. That's interesting.
Yeah, I did see that, and I was and look at that. Look at that Jay Lee cover. Haven't seen that in a while.
It's an interesting choice for a crypto book for
It
Jay Lee.
is.
And then this is the one you're most interested in. Adventures of Superman Book of L from Philip Kennedy Johnson, who was the one who introduced all those super people.
Mhm.
And this one
Yeah.
is about the super family. It says it here in the copy. And it says the super twins lost in time. There's Osol and Ortho. So that's them. They're going to be in this super Adventures of Superman book, which means I can avoid it.
He needs them to be put in a movie so that he can get his $12,000 check for each, which is $24,000 to buy them off in perpetuity.
12-issue limited series. I can avoid that like the plague. And then Superman Treasury
I
Edition
really like his
2025.
writing, and I like Scott Godlewski. Yeah, the Treasury one was one I didn't understand. What is that?
Jurgens and
Is that a new
Redondo.
series? Sure.
I don't know what that is, but it's a one shot. I don't know what it is.
Maybe it's big.
I think it's oversized. It says yeah,
Surprised.
but Jurgens
Alright.
and Redondo is interesting. So whatever.
All right.
That's a lot. There was a lot happening in that one.
That was a lot of Superman.
So we'll quickly go through some other ones. Wonder Woman 820, new story arc, Tom King, Guillaume March. This was really great. I thought Batman and Wonder Woman investigating a murder on Themyscira. I thought it was great. I mean, this is one of the books I really loved this
like
week.
they went to Olympus. Zeus is on the throne. Batman makes a bargain. Fantastic. Really lovely. And
all
again,
all
in
nine
March.
panel grids.
I did notice it like halfway through. I was like, oh, because for a second I thought this is different. Is Tom still? Yep. That's literally the thought process I went through. It was a 9-panel grid. Yeah. It was all
But
like
this is great.
Zeus is some classic Greek God on the throne, Zeus.
And I thought that all that stuff was really. Normally, I find that stuff annoying, but Tom has such a
I
arch
agree.
way of portraying the gods that it was
Mhm.
really enjoyable. Where he takes the sort of classic version but makes them kind of modern in the same time. It was really. I thought this was really great. One of my favorite issues of Wonder
Yeah.
Woman in a while. And
And
then,
really great Guillaume March.
yeah, oh
Like
yeah,
putting a spin on it. I mean, we know he's a great artist. We've talked about his books before, but this looks a little different. Um, in a good way. I don't know, like people look really angular and
hmm
drawn like he's it's like he found a style specifically. Everybody looks a little like a Greek statue.
hmm.
Um, the coloring is really interesting. Also, which he did. It's a good book.
He
You're
always
right.
does, yeah, really, really
It
good. And
had
then I
nothing to do with
also,
the King of America. I,
well, it's over. That storyline's over.
I know. I know. I know.
It's been a long time. It's been like 3 years or something. And then Superman World's Finest, Batman Superman World's Finest 38. This was one of my favorite books of the week as well. The first
Mhm.
part of the Justice League World's Finest crossover, the 6-part crossover We Are Yesterday, drawn by Clayton Cowell. That's not right. Damn it. This is what happens when I rush. Drawn by Clayton Henry.
He does
Clayton,
everything.
yeah, no, Clayton Henry is the artist. Apologies. We had less time to produce this episode than normal.
I
I
love
love that
when
it's
you make mistakes. You just
oh
never
totally.
do. So
Uh, I love that it started in a flashback with Highball Jordan and testing Bruce Wayne's plane, and I love this sequence with them and Clark busting his balls as a reporter covering the event. I thought that was
I had a
really
little thought
funny.
in the middle of that. I was like, Clark's kind of a liar here. Like they're not real questions. He knows the answers. That's not what reporters are supposed to do. But I'll let it be.
I think it is when
I,
you're
I
when
got
you're reporting on your best friend. You're just like, okay,
sure, but you in the real world you would disclose that. That's what you do.
he can't
You'd
though,
give
because
them
then
the
then they would know their secret identities.
exactly. Hey, here's the thing that I did think as I was reading. By the way, that is a fantastic bat plane, or however they
Yeah,
drew that in this.
yeah,
I love Gorilla City and I love Gorilla Grodd. They're
yeah.
some of my favorite villains, and I think because there's something really interesting about them that the gorillas aren't necessarily bad guys, but they're not
No,
necessarily good guys. They're this other that's really powerful, and then Grodd's one of the scariest villains I think in
and here
DC.
too for sure.
Yeah, and then they brought
Yeah.
back what's his name? The chimp.
Oh,
Um,
the giant chimp,
yeah, I
the
had
one,
I
the one with the kryptonite eyes,
yes, yeah,
Titano,
yeah, yeah.
Titano.
Titano, the ape with the kryptonite eyes.
Yeah.
Great.
I think that this has had everything. This has had everything you want in this book, which is, it is kind of a Justice League issue, but it's a crossover with Justice League in the present day. And so, you've got Batman, Superman, Flash, Hal Jordan, not in costume, but there fighting Grodd, and this is back when they're younger, and it just was exactly what you want from this book. It just I'm looking forward to this crossover, whatever it means, but it's clearly it's about the new Injustice Society or whatever their name is. I forgot which one it is, but the
Justice Gang.
all the bad guys coming together. That was revealed at the end of
Mm.
the last Justice League issue, and so Grodd is scary here. He takes over Superman's brain, and the way they beat him is a lot of Silver Agey gobbledygook, but I liked it when he just sort of smashed the
Yeah,
bodies together. Wonderful looking. I'm really excited for this crossover now. I was before,
yeah.
but the first chapter was great.
This was a really fun issue, like all the way through.
Fun comics this week. We
Absolutely,
got
absolutely.
we got more of them, and we'll talk about them right after this. All right. Let's discuss Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #8. I know we've been talking about great looking books this week, but man, if this isn't one
It's
of the best looking books out there from Juan Ferreira on art colors, man, this is a great looking comic.
Juan Ferreira is like I'm not gonna say he's undiscovered, but he is
Ferreira.
Ferreira. Yes, is like
He's
we're
not big
inches
enough.
away
He should be bigger. He should be a bigger
this is what I'm
artist.
getting at. Like
Yeah.
people are going to in a few years, they're gonna be it's gonna be like Marcos Martin on a book. They'll be like, yes. And every book that he does looks better than the one before it. He has these beautiful layouts, beautiful figure drawings. The book is colored really well. to go
Yep.
along with it. The way that this story is that all the turtles have, they've been apart from each other. They hate each other. I guess this happened in earlier issues. I don't really know. I'm ready for them to all stop fighting with each other, but we're moving towards that. But Donatello is wasting away and talking to a dead rat, and they all think he's crazy, but he is the only one who's making sense. We know this, but we still don't understand the rat thing. And here we get like a little bit more on that. And the way that Donatello is drawn is so creepy and awful. It's kind of a heartbreaker, but you sort of feel like we're going towards something that's it's just a high level of craft,
Well,
That's
this
what's
one
happening here.
especially felt like, this felt like the breaking point where they're going out every night to fight,
Mhm.
protect people because the town is being run by this corrupt DA. Who has got this one's the foot, right? Or is
Yeah.
this in the hand? This one's the foot. He's got the
foot.
foot,
No, the hand
the
is
foot as his personal army, and he's running roughshod. In this issue, he takes over all crime in New York. Everyone's running
the
for him
hoof.
now. And they're going out and doing what little they can to help people in the midst of this and they've all turned against the mutants. This is all stuff we didn't read, ever. But so no one likes the mutants, even the turtles, and so this is like a really hopeless situation. Donatello's wasting away; he's not eating food, and Leonardo is at his breaking point. Michelangelo and Raphael are basically useless; they're too busy fighting with each other the whole time. And Leonardo's desperately trying to keep it all together, but doesn't understand what's going on with Donatello. And this felt like the breaking point of that paradigm. And then the cliffhanger where Donatello leaves and leaves his rat behind feels like now this is going to change because there has to, because they can't go any lower at this point.
I think it was cool because we learned like Donatello knows things that he shouldn't know, that nobody would know, and there's something to it. And then Leo starts to hear, the rat, and
there's a magic rat,
magic dead rat corpse, which you can see the ribs through. We have to not let this go.
Yep.
The first two page spreads are fantastic for several reasons. One is a cutaway of the subway train.
Awesome. Yeah.
Which is just so great. And then two, let's give it up for a man who lives in Argentina, but has completely and totally accurately portrayed a New York City subway station.
This is a man who knows how to use Google. Not all comic artists apparently do, but you were right. When I saw the double page spread of the train pulling in, I was like, he exactly got the F train correct. That is the train I've ridden the most in my adult life, and that is exactly how it looks.
That is the station. Like, the colors are correct. Yep. It's the correct amount of the train's a little clean, but I mean, but also at the same time, like it is not. If it is based on real photos or whatever, it looks like a drawing. It doesn't look like whatever the Google 3D thing that they put in the background of stuff.
He went not at all. He went all out on the cutaway of the train car. He doesn't just cut away the train car just to show the turtles fighting the foot. He cutaways like the axles and everything in the bottom, showing how the wheels turn, and like, dude,
I love that in an artist.
Stop it. Is he a stop it?
He's getting there. He's certainly getting there. Those two trains, they're too close though. They're a little too close.
Oh yeah. No, there's a connector piece that's not there. That train would never be able to turn.
Right. Exactly.
There's a piece that hinges the cars.
He gets it right in the next page, but even like the walkway,
I will allow for it.
That green railing with the spikes for the pigeons on top, and I can smell that. I can hear it. It's beautiful. You got to give somebody credit for that.
It is a good looking book. Like I finished this issue going, there are a lot of great comics and a lot of great artists, and there's a lot of great books this week even, but nothing looked better than this book this week.
Well, what's cool is that if you remember, the first chunk of issues all had some other awesome artist on it. And you're like, who are they going to put on this to follow it? Just like, no, we nailed that.
We got it. Don't worry, we got it.
Whoever's editing this book, or whoever like put the team together, I mean, really like knew what they were doing.
I think it's Andy Corey,
yeah.
Andy Corey's the editor. Good job, Andy.
Mm-hmm.
Detective Comics 1096, the finale of the first Tom Taylor, Michael Janine art.
You know what I did?
Yes.
I went back. I read all of them.
Good.
I picked up, I don't know, 3 or 4 issues ago, and I was reading up to here, and I got to this, and before I started, I was like, I'm going back. And I read the beginning of the story, and then I came back and finished it. It's one of those things where there's so much to like, and it's so well done and fun that you can ignore the fact there's a lot of stuff I don't like in it. It's
No, but this is sort of the classic Batman story you want that doesn't involve like the fate of the free world, or
existing
some
villains.
hero or some villain destroying Gotham. It's just like there's a criminal. Yes, it ties into Joe Chill. Yes, it ties into his past, but ultimately it just feels like Batman stopping something from happening that shouldn't happen, as opposed to like
Mhm.
at the end of the story, you're going to be broken down mentally and have no money, and your kids are going to hate you. Like, it just wasn't that kind of story. It was great.
And the last page is going to be revealed that it was the Joker the whole time. If you
Right.
think about the last two in continuity mainstream titles, so this is the Nightwing, and then this is that the villains in both of them were original villains. They weren't. They didn't.
Yeah.
Like, so many people come in and they go, "Oh,
Right.
I'm going to do the Riddler story to blow you away," or in
Right.
the last 10 or 15 years, it's just been Joker, 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 Joker. And he went, "I'm going to bring my own villain in," and most people can't do that. They can't.
Right.
And listen, Hearttaker could have failed all sorts of ways. But the
Sure.
sort of way this was, it's almost like a Chinatown thing going on here. Like, it's the
Right.
mother. It was, it was great.
I really liked
So
this arc a
good.
lot. I love the Robins showed up and the
Mhm.
Batgirls and the help, and for some reason Signal was there, and it was still really fun. And I thought this is a great arc. I'm looking forward to what they do next.
Absolutely. What we're going to do right now is our next is I'm going to tell you real quick about we are listener supported, viewer supported. You people are out there helping us do this. There's a bunch of ways to do that. I will go through them quickly. Patreon.com/iFanboy. That is a way to directly support the show. There are benefits, there are perks, there are rewards. You can directly support the show, become part of the great communities that we have over on Discord and Facebook. You get to vote on the patron pick. You get a patron power live on the show. At the $5 or higher level, you get to join the monthly patron hangout at any level. At $10 or level, or $10 a month or higher, you will get an ad-free version of this weekly show a day early. So it'll be out on Saturday at some point on Saturday. We're not promising you a time. Just that's how it is.
Just a day.
It's just the day. If it's
All you
11:59
get.
East,
All you get.
yeah. We can even be like, well, it's not Saturday on the West Coast, but we're not going to do. We're going to try our best.
We try as early as we can. As early as we can.
We don't like to break promises.
Right.
And then there is also an iFanboy after show where we talk about the books from the week that didn't make this rundown. So we go through those quickly or not, depending on the day. That will show up on Sunday on Patreon as well. There's a discount if you sign up for a full year at one time. And you can either give or send gift memberships, patreon.com/iFanboy, and then add a /gift for that option.
It's been great to see people doing that. It's really awesome.
Yeah, very cool. iFanboy at threadless.com is our merch store where we will have 22 designs on t-shirts and more. We will have. I don't know why I put will there. Where we have, they exist.
We do have them. They're there.
There are 2 more recent designs to iFanboy 2025 logos for the new, this current era. I don't know, all new DC. Absolute.
We're all in. We're all in.
We're all in. We are.
We're all in. We pushed all of our chips to the middle.
Next year we're gonna do iFanboy.
We're all out. All out. We're all out next year.
We're all out. What's the event this year? Very sleepy.
I'm out.
iFanboy.com/Amazon as a general shopping link. It's an affiliate for Amazon. If you have to buy stuff there, then you go through us. That's helpful to us and costs you nothing. It's a very easy way to help us. And bookshop.org is a local bookstore aggregator, and where we are able to put links on the site for books we talk about and do comic book issues. We will do that. So if you're on the website at fanboy.com, you can find that there, and that is very worthy of going for. Let's move along. There are more books. So many books. Wolverine. It was like a big week and not a big week.
Yeah, it was a high quality week.
It added up in quantity at the end.
Yeah, I say that high quality, and I'm about to slag a book. So Wolverine 400 or 8 is going to definitely go down as one of the worst anniversary comics ever. It's just the first.
Really?
So you had 3 stories by 2 creative teams. So Saladin Ahmed and Martin Cocolo did the first 2 stories. The first story wrapped up that dumbass adamantine god story, and then the second story was like this really weak Wolverine's trip through his life via an arcade. The villains sets up a trap for him, and to get through the thing, he's got to face all these robots of people from his life, and it just wasn't compelling. There was nothing that really felt like a celebratory Wolverine story. However, there's the reason why I want to talk about this is Downey Warren Johnson did a story at the end, written and drawn by himself, about Wolverine in Japan, and it was fucking awesome. It was samurai Wolverine action, and that was great. That was really, really, really great. I am probably going to stop reading. I was reading to get to this point because I knew the Downey Warren Johnson story was coming, but man, I just did not like what has happened before. I just don't think I respond to Saladin Ahmed's work. But man, I'm just trying to scroll to this Downey Warren Johnson story quickly, and so you can see. But man, it was a gorgeous. Like, don't worry about the timeline. I'm sure it happens in some time that doesn't fit, but whatever. It's just Wolverine killing a bunch of samurai and like slicing and dicing people, and it was the best kind of Downey Warren Johnson you can.
He's the best he is.
He is the best he is at what he does, which is these crazy dynamic action sequences where Wolverine chops people in half and with katanas, but also with sword he cuts a horse in half. Everyone is under his blade. So that was worth checking out if you're a Wolverine Downey Warren Johnson fan. Check out Wolverine 400.
I'm gonna make sure I read that story.
All right, so those are the books we wanted to talk about. But at patreon.com/iFanboy, every patron of the show gets a vote to add a book to the rundown this week. It wasn't a blowout, but it was a fairly easy win for this week's winner, which was DC and Sonic the Hedgehog #2, written by Ian Flynn, art by Adam Bryce Thomas, colors by Matt Helms, letters by Becca Carey, published by DC Comics with Sega. And I think they were excited to drop us in on #2. Which
I liked that better than if it had been one. I'm going to be honest with you for several reasons. Because first of all, when I started reading it, I was like, whatever happened in #1 didn't need to.
So wait, before you get into the book itself, I did want to start with a different question, which I'm actually more interested in talking about the book itself, which tells you anything about the book. Were you did you play Sonic the Hedgehog? Have you ever played Sonic the Hedgehog?
I mean, like, I had the first Genesis and it came with it. So I think I had the first game and I played it, in the way that, like, everybody played Super Mario Brothers.
Well, the reason why I asked is because this might have been just my experience in my circles of friends, but in my experience, you were either a Nintendo house or a Sega house. And so you didn't, unless you were super rich and had both, you either bought Nintendo or you bought Sega, but you didn't really go back and forth. Like I never really saw Sega. Everyone was a Nintendo house in my circle.
That's true, but the reason was because NES came out first. It was the only thing basically at that level, the 8-bit. And then Genesis came out before Super Nintendo. And so when they moved up to, like, these are what graphics look like now, it's like, holy shit. So a bunch of us got Genesis. I never went back to Nintendo though. So that's you're right in a way.
Yeah, so I
got a Wii at some point, but
until you gave me your old Xbox in our 20s, that was the first non-Nintendo system I had since the Atari in the early 80s. And so I was always a Nintendo house. All my friends were Nintendo houses. So I think I played Sonic once. I know nothing about the character. I know nothing about the world. I know nothing about the people in it. I've not seen the films. I know nothing about Sonic the Hedgehog.
Right. So I think I must have only played the first game. And so this whole continuity, this mythology, these, the family around, I didn't know, but I have seen I've seen all 3 movies, so I got that much. But yeah, it's it's a little bit of an off-brand Mario kind of thing.
I found myself, and it's possibly because I've been playing a lot of classic Mario Kart lately. But I found myself wishing this had been a crossover with Nintendo, and they'd been hanging out with the Mario family, because I don't know shit about these people.
I will say, now that you say that though, like, having seen the movies, at least I kind of knew who everybody was.
Right.
And so I heard them in the voices from the movie. I think these are very consistent with those characters, because those are very successful. Obviously, they made 3 of them.
Oh yeah, they made tons of money. I don't have much to say about this comic, unfortunately. I guess it was competently done for what it was. I thought Adam Bryce Thomas was really, really good at drawing the Sega characters and really, really bad at drawing the DC characters.
But what he
Uh,
was good at, though,
good
and I thought,
storytelling. He was a good storyteller. Like
yes,
the art wasn't bad. The storytelling was good. I didn't like, and he's clearly very good at drawing the animated style
yeah.
Sonic characters, but I thought he was not good at drawing humans.
The
Um,
storytelling and the action scenes and the compositions were really good. There's a dark side page in here where Superman is punching at Darkseid,
you sure
and
you don't mean Superboy?
yeah, well, whatever. But he punches at Darkseid and like their fists meet. They're good pages though,
And
even
then
though
whatever this is,
yeah,
like
no,
he's just not good at drawing people. Um, it was the story was what it was. They're collecting gems. I assume there's a reason for it.
I think
I
the
assume it's
gem, the
Sonic
Chaos
related.
Emerald is a Sonic thing.
Yeah, that's fine. I don't need any more than that. I
Yeah.
understood what was happening.
And again, like I don't know what happened in the first one to get them all there, but I didn't need it. I don't need an explanation. I get it. These guys met up.
And
Fine.
in the end, the Justice League characters are killed, and the Sonic characters are zapped to the DC Earth. And so, my assumption, I don't know, my assumption is that they will become like a new Justice League until the Justice League comes back. They'll take on their roles.
Well, the next chapter is called A League of Their Own.
Right. And then John Lovitz will be there. Talk about giving his wife a pickle tickle.
Acting.
This was whatever. I did find myself about 10 pages in going, is this over yet? Only because I just wasn't really care all that much.
I still think that this is a question of, and then when these come out, I'm like, who is this for? It's not for
People really liked the first issue. It got really good notices. I think people younger than us might have liked it more than we would.
I guess, but I still think the people reading it are still going to be adults. And the problem with it to me is that if you're going to make a book that is, I mean, it's a nice idea to be like, this is for kids, but these are all old as shit properties that little kids don't really care about. But they still
not. Those movies, kids went to those movies. Sonic is still popular.
No, but I'm saying the actual book, the actual comic. You know what I mean? Like that is not my guess. That is not going to make its way into the hands of a lot of kids unless their nerd ass parents buy it for them. And before you're at home, you're like, "What's he calling it?" I am one of those people. But the point is, like, I just suspect that 90% or 85% of the people reading this are just old comic book nerds, and old is could be 20 years younger than us at this point. But if that's the case, then why do it so milk toasty? Why keep it so? Like this is like a licensed property comic, like anything, and right away I was like, of course Darkseid's going to be the bad guy. I did like that they brought in a bunch of other new gods or whatever whatever.
It would be interesting it would be interesting to find out, because they clearly keep making them, and they've been making those Batman and Scooby-Doo comics forever. So they must sell to somebody.
Yeah, and I think I don't know. Like either the people like the properties so much that they're not really there for the story, but I don't know. Like there's so many talented people, and I don't know if the direction is to like keep it basic. Kids are, but they're not. I don't know. I'm guessing they're not. At least not mostly.
So Ian Flynn's he writes the Sonic the Hedgehog comic at IDW, which is, I mean, gone on for hundreds of issues.
Yeah, no, it's very likely that I do not understand the market. And also I don't expect this to be a comic book that I like. Right. I don't expect this to be the Flintstones. That doesn't make sense. That's fine. But because
Sonic the Hedgehog is at 290 issues.
I think it's probably a very popular property that we're completely oblivious to.
I just never played it. I don't have any childhood connection to it. John Workman lettered some of it. What is happening?
He's got to work.
Workman's got to work.
You got Heliopolis, and they're undercutting the market,
driving prices down.
Yeah, I guess.
Let's rate this.
It's not like the industry values veteran letterers.
I do.
Oh,
I do.
You say John Workman, and I think anybody. I think you wouldn't know John Workman's letters if he drove up and drew an R on your ass.
Amity, as you know, means friendship. So, ratings on DC X Sonic the Hedgehog, number 2. I'm gonna cut it in half like a baby. 2.5 stars, just because that's what half of the rating of 5 is. It wasn't bad. It wasn't for me. There was clearly craft here. I didn't like the art sometimes. I did like it other times. 2.5.
I could be persuaded to give it a generous 3 in that
A saucy
this is
3,
what
a
it
bouncy
is.
3.
This is what it is. I
Yeah.
think it is in line with what this product is. It's going to be difficult to excite you and I by it. But I mean, if this gets somebody reading a comic book, if this pays people to make comic books, you know, it
Sure.
wasn't embarrassing. I have read books that are embarrassing, and this is
Yeah,
not
no.
that. Great storytelling in it, great action. I think if you were a Sonic person, you got what you wanted from this. You know, the Flash and Sonic being a little competitive team together, and they razz each other. That fits. That's good. Yeah, I'm gonna give it a 3. I'm gonna give it a 3 for what it is.
Were you going to read it if it wasn't the Patron Pick?
Oh, surely not. No.
No. No. And are you
Why?
sticking with it? Are you going to read DC X Sonic the Hedgehog number 3?
Not only am I not going to, the thought never occurred to me. Almost nothing could have happened in this book to make that even be something I considered.
To make it a reality?
I'm not gonna. I didn't nod off, but I was distracted several. Like I
Yeah.
at one point in the middle of this started researching Edo Japan. Like that is what happened in the middle of it.
Yeah, I 3 pages in, I was like, okay, I get what this is. 10 pages in, I was like, is this over yet? So I was
Yeah.
definitely having that feeling. Anyway, I'm not mad at the pick though. I like the number 2.
No,
They often give us the number 1, which is fine, but the number 2 is interesting.
and
So
I
okay with
really
that.
like that. I would like to see more of that. That's kind of what I thought would happen more often. People are always trying to pick like special issues or whatever. But like I just like here 457, read that. Like I always it'd be hard for people to get consensus on it, but I think that would be fun more often.
We need a Patron
Also,
link.
if you were the creator of this, if you were one of the names listed and you're listening to this, I've got nothing but respect for you. I think you did the I don't it's not a bad review. It's just not the product. We're not the audience for the thing.
Yeah.
I think you did your jobs very well.
If we were Sega kids, it might be different, but I wasn't.
Nah, I don't think that has anything to do with it. I mean, like,
Well,
I
I might have nostalgic feelings for it.
I
But
mean,
don't.
maybe, but if this was Mario, I wouldn't have liked it anymore.
Hey. Oh my god, the original Mario Kart is so hard to play, especially on a handheld device, and not remembering like the muscle memory of the tracks and everything.
What people don't know who are younger is how incredibly hard early video games were.
Yeah, really hard.
Every once
Many
in a
games I
while,
never passed the first level of, and I played them for hundreds of hours.
Yeah, no, I know. Like, we have like the Switch has a free emulator on it if you have the, and so you can play like Excite Bike. And I'm always like, man, I'm gonna get good at fucking impossible. You make one mistake, the game's over. You start over,
and you have to put a quarter in.
Like, you can't the character could never touch anything.
They're the most brittle characters,
and it was so
like
easy.
Skinny hockey players in the hockey game.
It was mostly just
fat
about
player, medium player, skinny player. That skinny guy, you just touched his elbow, he went flying into the stands.
Yeah, but the thing about that game was amazing because there were 3 different types of players.
I know.
You don't like that's how bad it was that we're like, wait, there's 3 different types of players. And you do the team of all fat guys, and it would be funny as shit. And you do the team of all skinny guys.
Bodies are flying everywhere. Patreon.com/iFanboy.
I've never made that noise on the show.
Thanks for being a patron. Thanks for voting. Every patron gets a vote, but if you vote,
it was worth it for that.
If you become a patron at the $5 or higher level, you get a patron power live on the show. It's called you get a superpower. It's called the patron power. And this week, the script says I'm doing it, which I'll do.
Shouldn't be. No,
I'm ready. I'm ready if you want.
Definitely me. But the question here is, did I write anything down?
Well, the patron is PV.
PV, which in my current line of work makes me think of photovoltaic, which is solar cells. Oh. And I had to think, okay, don't think of something for that. You don't want to do that. PV never has to use instructions to assemble anything.
Oh, good job.
Assemble PV. Everything without, there's an inherent sense of this goes here and here. Right. Like, and also because
no matter how complicated it is.
No, because of that, like things that frustrate normal people, like having to get shit from IKEA, like it all just makes sense to him and he does the thing.
What about giant
Legos,
Lego sets? I was
you
just gonna
could do
say.
it. Well, here's the thing, though. There's two kinds of Legos we're talking about here. We're talking about kits. We're talking about that come with, like specific things, and then there's just making your own thing.
Sure.
He's not making his own thing.
No, he's
You
making a
can
kit.
give him all the pieces from a kit, and he'll be like, "Oh, I know this goes together." But
Well, they announced that
it's
Star
you.
Wars logo one, which is like 3,000 just yellow pieces. So he
Yeah, he
would
can
just
do
know
that.
how to do that.
Yeah, can't do puzzles because
Ooh,
there were
that's
never instructions to begin with.
That's true.
There
Don't
have
have
to
instructions.
be instructions. They
Puzzles
have
are
to
his
require
yellow.
assembly.
Puzzles
Mhm.
are his wood. Thanks,
You were
PV.
like, Silver Age. No, wait. Golden
Let's go
Age.
further back. Thanks for being a patron, PV. Enjoy never getting angry and having to bicker during your making new furniture and having it
How
ruin your
about
day.
how about that off the top of my head? Like, if I
That's a
hadn't told
great
you,
power because it really makes a quality of life enhancement for PV.
Mhm. I have a,
I dread putting together new furniture because I know it's just going to end up in tears.
I have a
Usually
new
mine.
I have a new item in the I've replaced my grill of 14 years with a new one,
Oh,
and I have to assemble it, and it's down there hulking, lurking. Uh,
mocking.
oh, it's I don't actually mind doing it. I just know it's going to take a while. It's down
I think
there.
we can do one email. You can choose which one you want to do.
Let's go for Josh D from New Jersey, and he says you can bring that up, but it says
Yep.
I've been thinking about this question since the release of the recent Fantastic Four movie trailer. Many people complained that Ben Grimm didn't have a coarse voice, but I never necessarily read him that way. I've always read him with more like a Jerry Stiller voice. I didn't see that when I put it in here. This Kang, not my kind of Kang. I'm sorry, a Jerry Stiller voice than a gruff Grump, more excitable than Grump. When you read comics, that's all I want to hear now. When you read comics, do you assign voices to characters or read them in your own voice? Does a live action character disappoint when their voice doesn't match the one you made up in your head? I've never heard this question.
This is a
All
good
new
question. I don't tend to do like a cast of voices in my head.
It's Josh D, and that says Josh O, and I don't want to get a letter.
What happened? This has not been a great day for me.
Is it hot?
It's not hot. The
Oh.
heat wave broke. It's just been a really busy week,
Mm.
and I'm tired. I've got a wife on spring break. She's been drinking every night. I've been drinking every night. This is not normal.
Woo!
It is. I'm gonna fix it right now. So, I might hear the voices of like, maybe occasionally I'll hear like, I don't know, Christopher Reeve, but I don't really. I guess I don't. I don't really.
Like, the question hadn't occurred to me, but I do not hear the voices of the characters when I read them, and I don't think I do generally in books when I read them.
But there's a quality.
There's
I
a
do
quality.
think there's a quality that may not translate to a specific voice, but I might hear Doctor Doom's dialogue in a different quality than I would hear Batgirl's dialogue, and not just because of genders, but just because it's more bombastic. So I might hear it in a more bombastic tone in my head, but I'm not hearing a specific voice. Does that make sense?
I think that there's a method of delivery that you fill in your head, even if it's not necessarily conscious, but it is not the same thing as a voice.
Like, what did you like when you read the Thing's dialogue? Are you hearing it a certain way, or were you freaked out when you heard the new trailer and it was just the dude's voice and not, because in the past, every way we've heard the Thing, from cartoons to live action to everything, it's been like, rah, 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 and now it's just the dude from the bear.
The clicking of rocks.
Now it's just the bear's voice, the bear dude's voice.
Yeah, cousin.
Was that weird for you?
I don't remember it. First of all, I saw it at some point, but I don't remember the voice. I do know the general feeling of a character speaking, and even though you have never thought about it or made it up in your own head, it isn't what you had in mind, and you think that's weird.
Yeah.
And then
sometimes
there's other
it's perfect,
times,
and sometimes you're like, "Whoa, that's
sometimes it's perfect." Like the first time I heard Scarlett Johansson as the Black Widow, I was like, "Yeah, like that sounds like it should." I can use the Avengers one because it's so many you can sort of go through. Like Steve Rogers. I think he was a great Captain America, but he didn't sound like I thought You
No,
should.
no, no, no. And also, I don't think anyone ever read the Vision as British, but when they had it in the film, it worked really well.
Mhm.
Um, so I don't. I'm open to different interpretations in that sense. I don't know. I haven't. I I'm gonna have to see the film in its full context to stuff how bothersome it is or not. I don't know.
I do absolutely relate to the thing that you've pointed out, which is just like you hear it and
Yep.
there's an instant of whether it's right or wrong.
Right.
And one of the things that's funny about the internet is all based on this is that people hear it and then the voice in their head goes, "That's wrong." And then
Mhm.
they go on the internet and they tell everybody how it's wrong, even though it's
It's, so,
based on nothing. It's a thing that exists in their
it's
head.
such a personal thing.
Or it's a thing that, like, you're just comparing it to something that was already done.
Right.
Should this new version of this character sound and look exactly like what was done before? No. Should it be so far afield that it throws you off? No. It's
It's
an
certainly an interesting choice. For sure.
impossible to get right. I mean, it's just an interpretation of something that didn't make sound or move.
I mean, I'm trying to remember the last one, and that was Michael Chiklis, and I don't remember if they did any processing on his voice, but he almost doesn't need it. Like his voice is almost kind of like that anyway.
There's one real big problem, though.
But
The Thing is not from Boston.
no, and
The Thing has a New York City accent, though.
right. I don't know. I only watched the teaser from Fantastic Four. I haven't watched the full length trailer. I have no interest in it. I want to go right into the movie, but I don't know what voice what's his name is using.
Eben I know there's three things. The first one's a word that doesn't like a normal something Moss. I don't know his name.
Evan Moss
There you go.
Backrack. And that's his name.
I know, but it makes me think of Burt Backrack every time.
Also, he's the same age as we are. He is from Staten Island. So
right. No, he can. I didn't say he didn't. I was talking about
the voice he uses on the bear is not his accent. That's an accent he's putting on.
Voice.
He's putting on a Chicago accent. So I don't know if he's putting
Wait,
on
Staten Island is in New York City?
Technically.
Can we I don't want to bury the lead here, but Jerry Stiller as the Thing,
now it's all I want.
You're imagining the fact that you've had that play going on in your head is such a gift to you that you don't even know. Do you know about the cup size? Yeah, Ben, you got the A, the B,
the B,
the C,
got the C,
and the D.
Come and get it.
That's the biggest.
Now that's all I want. I want someone to edit together an animation of the Thing over Jerry Stiller's voice on Seinfeld.
I saw something the other day that was like how many times guest stars appeared on Seinfeld, and so they had the counts of how many times
he was surprisingly low, which I didn't.
Yes, it was.
And I don't know if I believe it. The problem is it's on the internet. You go, I guess it's true because someone on the internet.
Well, I can believe it, but everything that he did was so memorable and perfect that it's like every time Jesus, the Fonz, Henry Winkler appeared on Arrested Development. Every single thing that he said was amazing. Like it's like that. Anyway,
so I just Googled how many episodes of Seinfeld did Jerry Stiller do, and I had the first two answers are both different numbers. So who knows?
I mean, if you just go to IMDb
will tell you. It's not going to be as many as you think.
That's the point.
But he hit every one of them out of the park.
Every single, and nobody. That's a completely original thing.
And nobody was like, he's.
And the Korean ladies, like, he had this strange halting way of speaking.
And no one ever said, "Oh man, he's back on again."
No one.
So anyway, the question from other Josh is: when you read comics, do you sign voices? I don't really.
No, I don't. But I do react when I hear them.
It might be like when I just watch something. It might be in my head for a little while, but it'll eventually go away. But
can I ask you a question that's not really related?
Okay.
Do you narrate in your own head? Do you speak in your own head?
I mean, like your life?
Yeah. Like, are you thinking words in your head?
Yeah. I think you and I both worked from home so long that, I mean, when we first started working from home, that was way back in like 2008. I was definitely talking to myself, guy.
I just mean all the time. Like,
no, but also like
head constantly.
Yeah, I mean, not like constantly, but I think it comes from watching so many movies and things. Just like
It's just one of those things where you read on an Instagram post and be like, only this amount of people do this, and then of course everybody under goes, oh my god, I didn't know, it's just me. And I was like, I think it's everybody, but I'm not sure. It just makes you engage. So I keep meaning to ask other people.
I do for sure. Josh D, thanks for writing in. See, the D looks like an O on my script.
I see it. It's understandable.
Josh D from New Jersey wrote into contact@ifanboy.com. Thanks for writing, and we want to hear from you. We had another great email lined up. We'll do that next week.
Yeah, it was good too.
So we've been getting really good emails lately. Thanks for writing in. Contact@ifanboy.com. Let's plug some.
Make the show like demonstrably better. So like,
for sure,
for that part.
We just got an email right before the show that has a visual component, which we could now do because we've got YouTube, so we can put it up there. So plugs. This past week, right behind this show in the feed, you'll get our new Media Explode show. We went for an hour and almost an hour and a half. Usually shows an hour. We went 50% longer because the first segment went way too long. Way too long. Josh, you caught it on the show itself. It was like 40 minutes until we got to segment 2.
Why are we still doing
But we added a couple. We had a new segment.
I was so tired that night. Like I would tell you right now, you're watching it like Josh is. I was not good.
No, but you also hardly talked. I was looking at the waveforms on the.
Talk about all these things I didn't.
I was like, why is Josh hardly talking this episode? So,
and I look irritated. I'm trying not to because I can see my face, and I'm like, I'm just so tired.
We had a good show though. We had 2 new segments. One, we had a Broadway corner because some people went to Broadway shows, and then we had a special guest come on to talk about the Pit with us. We reviewed the Pit. That was the main segment. We also had a New York City emergency room physician's assistant come on to talk about how accurate it was or wasn't and what he thought of it from a perspective of being someone who works in a hospital. I thought that was really great. That's why the show was an hour and a half, and hopefully you enjoy it. This coming week, is it this coming week or next week? I think it's next week.
It's this coming week, I believe.
Oh, wait, you're right. No, this coming week, Josh's got a Talksplode, hopefully. That's the last week in April, so yeah, this is it for you. Better get it done.
Okay.
Or you're fired. We're going to take you down to the HR office, and Carol's going to have a talking to you. Next month, we'll have our Booksplode. We're going to review Judge Dredd, A Better World by Rob Williams, Arthur Wyatt, Henry Flint, Boo Cook, Jake Lynch, Jim Boswell. Some of these names are made up. Annie Parkour House. You could have added names in there, and I wouldn't have any idea.
Boo Cook.
Boo Cook. That sounds.
That's not a given name.
No. Well, who knows? The English
unless they could be from Northern England that are Boo Cook.
And then we'll keep mentioning it. Josh appeared on Movie of the Year 1996 Fargo, which you can find the link for that in the show notes, as well as other shows we've appeared on are all at the bottom of the show now in the show notes. So you can check those out if you want to hear us talk about movies, other things that are not necessarily.
You could find your way to the Cradle from the Cradle to the Grave podcast out there, which we've all been on.
Oh, and also we're going to be doing another episode of that soon.
I don't know when it's out though.
No, I don't know when it's out either. But we're going to recording it next month. Another comic related Cradle to the Grave episode that we're going to come on and talk way too much, and he's going to have to not have any moment to talk for himself. So anyway, that's coming out at some point. Josh, you're up.
Yeah, I know. I was just taking a moment for myself. You can find our whole library of podcasts and shows, audio and video, everything. It's all over at ifanboy.com and wherever you get podcasts. You could never miss a show. The one way to guarantee, or at least ensure, that you don't miss a show is, and to find out what the pick of the week is before it comes out, is by following us on these social media platforms such as Instagram and Threads, where we are at iFanboy Comics, or at ifanboy.com on Blue Sky, whose naming convention still eludes me.
It's bizarre.
Yes.
I don't understand it.
And then
also, one thing you find is when you have left Twitter like a decade ago and you go back to like when I see our social media feed from the iFanboy side, what is happening? Like, I don't recognize the conversations at all. They're all bizarre. They're all people making lists and I'm an expert on this. Here's my thread about being a teacher. Like it's just all engagement bait. It's so bizarre. I don't know why anybody waste their time on these things. But
I'm telling you,
if you want to waste your time with iFanboy Comics, there you go.
You don't know how fun this stuff was in 2008. 2008 was beautiful.
It's a different world. It's a different angle.
Connor and I are individually on CSGO on Instagram at CSGO Patrick and J Flanagan, which is in unrecognizable from what it used to be. Also,
listen, just if you are on there and you're enjoying it, great. We are on there at Fanboy Whites. We do post stuff there. We thank everyone who likes and thumbs up and all that stuff. But I just find it bizarre. Where are we? Please consider writing us a review or leaving a star rating on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts. If you're listening via Pocket Cast, you need to subscribe. And I've downloaded a few episodes before. You can rate it. subscribe to youtube.com/iFanboy. Let me get the current stats on this one, where you can watch this show and all of our old shows from 2007 to 2012. I'm doing this off the top of my head. I'm looking at a different page. Where is the thing that tells us how? Oh, fuck it. All right. Well, I can't find it. They keep changing everything. Oh, here. It'll be under analytics, won't it? Yeah.
I don't know.
We're like 70 away from 5,000. To push to 5,000. 70 of you can help us out. All of our old video shows are there. Lots of us in shorts. And all of these shows that we do.
I have great calves. I don't know.
We did. We all have great calves, which is a strange thing. But we did. But we didn't need to be in shorts for all the shows. This show, all the shows except for the Talks Blood go up on YouTube. So if you want to watch them there, you can check them out there. Finally, join us at the iFanboy After Show exclusively on Patreon, where we share our thoughts on all the books that didn't make the rundown this week. That's for everyone at the $10 a month, the higher tier and up. We thank everyone who's a patron. Come watch us there.
16 books this week.
It's going to be more because we skipped one. Thanks for
17
listening
books this week.
This week. My name is Connor.
I'm Josh. Thank you.